And our last presenter today is Kevin Cannella. We have Kevin back to talk to us about Think You Like.
Hey, everybody.
Hello.
Who thought this was over? Sorry, there's one more. My name is Kevin Cannella, and I am the co-founder and executive director at Thank You Life. Can you all hear me okay? Cool. So one thing I want to just start with is we're a 501c3 nonprofit. And so we don't have any equity to give away. And so we're really not looking for investment dollars. We're really just looking for your philanthropic dollars. So a little bit of a switch in that. What we do is we eliminate the we eliminate the financial barriers to psychedelic therapy. And I'll get into what that means. So the mental health crisis, I think a lot of us are familiar with this. What was fascinating that we found out is over 50% of millennials and over 75% of Gen Z have either major depressive disorder or generalized anxiety disorder. Absolutely insane, to be honest. Psychedelic therapy is a solution. And as I was saying before, ketamine-assisted psychotherapy is really the only legal form of psychedelic therapy at the moment. And yeah, here are some just numbers that really show the efficacy. Okay, I want to unpack ketamine and ketamine-assisted psychotherapy a little bit. I would say there's really two forms here. There's ketamine-assisted psychotherapy, where there's a therapist in the room. The client is really looking to unpack their traumas, move their traumas through their nervous system, and heal. The therapist will help them integrate difficult experiences and will also help them integrate the more spiritual experiences. Then there's also ketamine infusions. This is often done with no therapist. A client's left in the room by themselves, and there's little to no integration that happens. So at Thank You Life, we're supporting clinics who do ketamine-assisted psychotherapy and not just ketamine infusions. A ketamine, we call it CAP. So a CAP treatment protocol is 4 to 6 sessions. Each session's $600 to $1,200. There's typically 1 or 2 prep sessions, and typically an integration session at the end of each or after each CAP session. Overall, we're looking at like $3,000 to $12,000. I know that's a huge range, but it really kind of depends on where you are in the U.S. and and just like how much each session costs. So what does a session look like? It's 2 to 3 hours. There's 2 main routes of administration. I mean, IV is also used, but for this, it's really intermuscular or a sublingual lozenge. Often what it looks like is the client and the therapist will discuss the intention, really orient the client to the session, to this psychological journey that they're about to take, and help them orient toward any relevant psychological material that they want to unpack during the session. The client lies down with an eye mask. As we were talking about, there's some like a journey playlist that's played. And the effects of the ketamine are very short, especially compared to MDMA and psilocybin and other things. So IM typically lasts 45 minutes. Sublingual lasts more about 90 minutes. So the cost, what we really do is help people get over this initial hump here. And so, we estimate that for ketamine, it's about $7,500. Now, if we really like roll this out over 10 years, doing ketamine upfront is way more cost effective than the standard of care, which for depression is estimated to be $5,200 per year out of pocket. So if we can get people to do a ketamine protocol, it will really get them on this more gold trajectory. But $7,500 out of pocket is very, most people just cannot do that. So this is where we come in and help cover the costs. So how do we do this? We give financial assistance to people who cannot afford psychedelic-assisted psychotherapy. We currently partner with 75 clinics all over the United States. Again, these are CAT clinics specifically, and we will be rolling out to MDMA when that becomes available, likely or hopefully next year. So who's we? As I said, I'm the co-founder and executive director. I'm a psychotherapist by trade. And my co-founder, Dr. Dan Engel, is a real thought leader in the psychedelic space and has been for decades. Our provider network, by the end of 2025, we hope to be at about 200 providers. And what I really want to highlight here is our vetting process. And we estimate that only about 300 of the 1,500 ketamine providers will meet the criteria that we have for our process. And I think this is really what's going to differentiate us is this high standards that we have. So there's a number of other organizations who are also doing client assistance. We're the only ones who have a national reach for the general population. And we're also the only ones who like really have a provider network built out and really have the most penetration into the cream of the crop, the most highly vetted clinics. So our impact, last year was our first year of operations. Our goal is to give away $100,000, and we were able to do that to 37 people. This year, we're hoping to give away $375,000 to 130 people, and we are well on our way to do that. This is my favorite slide here. We collect pre and post data on everybody who comes through. We collect information about their depression symptoms, anxiety symptoms, and PTSD symptoms. And we've found average decreases in their symptoms between 65 and 70%. A couple of reasons I think we're finding such amazing results. The people that are coming to us are very sick. They're also very motivated, and the clinics that we're working with are really top notch, the cream of the crop. Our financials, I think we really have the right size team to scale this service. And before we really scale our impact, we really want to make sure that we have the right kind of base for our operations. And for us, that means 2 years of runway. And that will cost us about $800,000. And that's what we're here to ask for today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kevin. I'll open it up to the judges.
Just curious, is this therapy long lasting, or people keep coming back after a period of time?
Yeah, so it really depends. I think a lot more research could be done on that. One thing we have back here is that 2/3 of people reported sustained improvement over 6 months. So that's just that's from some research that's been done. I would say overall, more data needs to be collected on that. I think the MDMA research is really showing sustained results. And I think that's because they're doing psychotherapy with the experience. And that's essentially why we're doing the same thing. So I think the ketamine assisted psychotherapy will have much more long lasting results than ketamine infusions. And I think there can be a lot more research done.
Hey, Kevin, it's Brendan. Can you hear me?
Hey, Brendan.
All right. I'm going to ask the same question I asked to the other clinic guys. Given the bloodbath of the clinic space, what are you going to do differently to make sure that you survive up until at least the legalizations or the wave or other catalysts?
Yeah. Good question. So, we're not a clinic, so we just work with clinics. But of course, their success and ability to be profitable is a huge concern of ours. And to me, there's really two pieces here. One is our main mission. If we can build out a fund of a few $1,000,000 that we have to give away, we will allow these clinics to say yes to a large swath of the population that they're not currently able to say yes to. And I believe that will help their profitability immensely. That's the most direct way for us. But something I was actually speaking with Jeff about yesterday is we are really looking for a revenue stream outside of donations. We think if we're able to build out a revenue stream outside of donations, it'll just make us more sustainable. And one thing that we're looking to do with that is how can we take our provider network and really boost them and help them. And what we're seeing is because it's so difficult for them to be profitable, that's the main goal here. If we can help them drive their profitability, they may be willing to pay us something. So we're exploring a clinic membership sort of model. Right now, our provider network is a free thing. We vet them. And if we choose to partner with them, it does not cost them any money. But we're looking to, we're just doing some basic market research at the moment about what sort of suite of services and offerings we could actually offer to the clinics to help them with their profitability. And I think a lot of what that's going to look like is, there's a couple different services that we might partner with that will give them referrals, and then also just pointing them toward business development resources that we can connect them with.
Yep. So I really appreciate the mission, as we talked about as recently as yesterday, and a little bit of a pickle trying to imagine sustainability around a nonprofit that is, doing a noble thing to be in support of for-profits, right? And thinking that as you were thinking out loud about revenue generating streams, whether you set up a for-profit arm, connected to your nonprofit, and or whether perhaps with the aim to generate revenue for your organization for Thank You Life, whether perhaps you could have some arrangement with the upwards of 300 organizations over the next 24 to 30 months that you imagine supporting, whether the exchange can be, we will give you money to support your organization, and in return, you will share with us data so that you can be the gatherer of data, whatever that looks like, to then find a way to responsibly monetize that data to then help your organization sustain and grow. How that's done, I'm not sure, but it's a thought.
Yeah, I appreciate that thought. And one thing we've been looking at is we've been collecting this data, but we've also had the thought of like, okay, these are just the clients that we're sponsoring. Can we also have access to all the other clients going through them? And I appreciate that. I'm going to take that with me.
One more question. So it seems like a lot of the value add with your nonprofit is the network that you create and the being like a mediator between the patient and the treatment center, the clinic. I'm wondering, what is the vetting process for a potential patient and that you would donate to fund their treatment, and then what is the vetting for the clinics that you partner with?
Yeah, great questions. So we really leave. We want the clinics to do the vetting process for the clients in terms of their their readiness for CAP and for ketamine. So we trust our clinics with that piece. And then in terms of their financial readiness, we have the clinics walk them through really just a conversation. Very similar to, it's very typical in the therapy industry for therapists to do sliding scale with people. And we really just invite that same kind of conversation for our clinics to have with the potential clients. And at the moment, we don't want to make any hard lines, because we're finding people from San Francisco who may be making over 6 figures, but they're a single parent and teacher, and they're still not able to afford this. And because they're an SF, they're looking at more like the 10 to 12,000 price tag. So we don't want to make any kind of, lines in the sand in terms of, oh, you make over this much, that means you're not eligible, or that will only support so much. So we're small enough where that makes sense. And my hope is that having the clinics have that conversation with the clients can make it scalable, but we'll see. In terms of the clinics, there's so a lot of it's word of mouth, how they find out about us. And I would say overall the ketamine industry, in terms of the clinics, is a pretty small industry. So there's a handful of trainings that we know about. And then, like I said, one of the biggest delineations is whether they're doing ketamine-assisted psychotherapy or ketamine infusions with no mental health support. So I would say that's our biggest sort of cutoff. And then checking what sort of training that they've done, that they have malpractice insurance, a lot of kind of basic pieces like that.
Okay, thank you so much, Kevin.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you to the judges. Judges, if you can please fill out the survey using the QR code so we can give our wonderful presenters some feedback. If there's other investors in the room, especially that also want to give feedback, these QR codes will be up here. So that will be great. It'll be helpful for our presenters. Obviously, as Serena and I's unintending matching will show you, we clearly believe psychedelics has a really bright future. We really thank each and every one of you for coming today. Everyone is here for a reason. This is not just some usual business networking event. Everyone is here with purpose, with an intention to create impact. And it's really beautiful. And it's a really amazing thing that we're all united in. So with that, big thanks to Mifang and Achilles team for organizing.